All right, so let's jump back into it. We got a fun one here for you, and I really think it's going to be well worth the time that we put in. We're getting ready to do our old school spotlight of Funky Four plus one more. Funky Four plus one, and Kev brought this to the table, so I'm going to give him his due respect and allow him to do the intro, and I'll jump in on the tail end of this, man. But Kev, I sure appreciate you bringing this to the table. Give us what you got.
Yeah, it's one of those groups that doesn't really get a lot of shine or notice. Um, just kind of sitting back doing research, and I didn't really realize a lot of it was a lot of things that I didn't even know. I didn't know they was the first rap group to do like a national performance. They backed Blondie on Saturday Night Live, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know that, but I felt like I heard it before. But like I said, since there's not a lot of attention that's placed on this group, it's one of those things that can go over your head. But they was unique. They were very unique at the time because it was a male and female group, and even back then, even though you had the rapping and you had the dancers with the break dancers and you had a DJ, it was still like the crews were either like very male centric or dominated, and the females kind of played the background, as opposed to Funky Four Plus One, where everybody, granted it was one woman, but it was still, she wasn't in the background. She was noticeable, and they had hits. You know what I mean? They had hits, and it's just I don't know how they got lost in the shuffle of some of those old school groups. I just don't know that if it's, people just forgot about the old school or what. I just really don't know. But I mean, even their, I think with their sound, which was so early 80s, you know what I mean, it had that disco feel to it, but it could also transition into the that early R&B rap type vibe. They were just, yeah, they fit so many things early on. Yeah, I just wish, I mean, maybe that's something that we can kind of, I'll look into later, why they go unnoticed. But they really did, they deserve their flowers. I'm not gonna say they had a lot of hits. I think they had like 3 albums or something, 2 or 3 albums. It was enough. It was enough to where they made an impact on on rap at that time, man. And it's just it's just sad to see that so many bands and so many groups, so many just individuals that had hits, that had success, that were able to make an impact are consistently overshadowed just because they might have lasted, what, 4 or 5 years, which it shouldn't mean nothing at all. It's just if you had like a top hit, or a rap classic or something of that decade, you deserve your love. But yeah, I mean, just overall, man, I just think that we should recognize those that have gotten overlooked. And I know you're going to tear this one up. I know you're going to enjoy this one, so I don't want to take too much more time from you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you that on that, Kev. You were off by one on the albums. They had a single that was released later, and it was remastered. I think that's probably when they got the rights to their the rights to their music. So, but they had two projects, and that was Crash Crew meets Funky Four, and that's the joint. So I want to do as we're giving them their flowers. This is one of the first groups out of the Bronx, New York, to get a record deal, and the group went through some changes. Initially, you had Jazzy Jeff, the first Jazzy Jeff, and then you had Raheem. Then you also had Lil Rodney, and you also had DJ Breakout, and then they had the plus one, who was my main lady, Sha Rock, the first female rapper on Wax. Not only was she the first female rapper on Wax, she was an amazing talent. What she was able to bring to the group to stand on her own too was amazing. And then the group shifted. And again, this is what happens in the beginning of anything without any financial backing. It makes things hard for people to stay in this. You know, a lot of people were around back then. You know, you got your Eddie Chivas, your Love Buckstar Skis, and a lot of those guys weren't able to hang around and because they had to, you know, they got to eat, they got to feed their family. So some of those people fell to the wayside, and unfortunately, after about about 2 years, cool Keith came in, and then after that, you had the voice, KK Rockwell, and then he came in, and then you had the change up of the DJs. You had DJ Barron come in as well, and from that, during the breakup of the group, Rock went on to go with a female group and try to make her way with them. Again, they signed with record companies that were taking advantage of them, and the groups weren't making a whole lot of money. So a lot of these people had to figure out another way. But Cool Keith and KK Rockwell went on to form Double Trouble. They had some bit of success. Uh, Sylvia from Sugar Hill Records, she really stopped them from being all they could be. Like Kev said, they did appear on Saturday Night Live with, oh man, what's my lady name? Blondie. And she was going to take them on tour. And Sylvia said, no, no way, no how. It's not happening. As hot as Blondie was at that time, the amount of money that those people could have made on the road would have kept this group strong and able to go into the era with Africa Bambaataa. But unfortunately, you know, they weren't able to do so. You know, and it's very sad, very sad. Some of the accolades from them, again, first group to get a record deal with Enjoy Records, first to perform, like he said, on Saturday Night Live. Also, that's the joint was a sample from the group Taste of Honey. Rescue Me was the song. So we got to give Taste of Honey love. And then Rapping and Rockin', The House, that joint in 79 was a good hit from them. Again, most of these songs only made it onto the R&B charts. Never really, I don't think any of their stuff made it into the top 100. No, no, no. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't see any of that. And then you had Do You Want to Rock? And that one did pretty well. And they also had Feel It, the Mexican. I remember that one very well. It was definitely a club hit, especially at Latin Quarters. And then they were also in the movie Wild Style. So as well as Double Trouble was in Wild Style as well. So the group appeared in Wild Style, and they were, I think, and also Double Trouble appeared in Wild Style. Again, I had to go back to Sha Rock. Sha Rock has withstood the test of time. She's out there now doing spots here and there when she can, and still, trying to maintain that. She is hip hop, that era. Sequence, Angie Angie Stone and her girls, they were hip hop. They were at those block parties from the beginning, and they gave us an opportunity to further ourselves in this thing we call hip hop. And it's just super special, man. Again, Sha Rock, I keep thinking about the verses I heard her do, and all of them were just sick. And that's what makes it hard for me to hear the young ladies out here with super talent not push forward as much as they can. So this was just it was really a nice thing for Kev to do for the old guy to give me the opportunity to run my mouth. But I remember them going up against Crash Crew. I remember them going up against before so Melly Mel, before he joined Grandmaster Flash. It was just the Furious Five by themselves. and they battled against Funky Four. Back then, it was basically battles, and you heard these things on tapes where people were at the battles and they recorded on their recorders. And man, it was just a special time. And the reason why people forget them is because the the parents of those years got caught up in a lot of the I'm not saying every parent, but a lot of those parents fell victim to drugs in the mid 80s and going into the 90s, the crack epidemic. So they weren't able to really pass on music like my parents. My parents, they were playing, my grandparents would play music from the 50s. They would play blues music. They would play jazz music. And that's how I was able to learn. I even had a great aunt who enjoyed classical music. So that's how I ended up learning a lot about classical music. And then my mother, she played all the good stuff from the mid to late 60s during her developmental years, and throughout the 70s as I was a small child. She would play on Saturday morning, man. You were going to hear, she was a soul. She was heavy in the soul. So you were going to hear some Earth, Wind and Fire. You was going to hear some Ohio Players, and then going into the 80s, she fell back into blues. So we were able to hear, I was able, and that's why our music history continued. And then you had the crack era where parents weren't in the household. Grandparents really weren't pushing their music on their grandkids. They were just trying to get them through life. And then those people end up becoming parents. And since they had no foundation in their musicology, they didn't pass on any of that history. So they're trying to live in the current day because when they were growing up, it wasn't the best of times. So their best of times is now they're adults. They're doing pretty decent as far as money is concerned. They got kids. So they just living in the moment. So that's why this music wasn't passed on and people get thrown to the wayside. And a lot of these record groups or record companies kept the royalties or kept the ownership of the music so that the artist couldn't make royalties and so forth. It was pretty tough back then. A lot of those artists, like I said, you love Bus Skis, your Eddie Chibas. To my knowledge, Curtis Blow did well. To my knowledge, I'm not for sure, but I think that he did okay as far as his stuff was concerned. But then you had several other people out there from that era that just didn't get the money that they deserve. So even if you look at MC Shan, he came along much later, and he didn't get his just due. So it's a tough one. It's tough out there, guys. That's the way it was back then, and it's up to us. And that's why we ask you to keep listening to the show. And again, give us comments. Tell us who we should spotlight. Uh, when we do a live show, come on and give your love of what the music that you remember from that era. We're for all ages. We can even go back. We don't have to go to 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. We can go to 99, 2012, 2019. You come on and let us know what you're feeling, and we'll talk it out. This is no place for us to put down one another. We're trying to build a gap between today's music and the music that started and formed this thing. We are the most unique people when it comes to this thing, music, because we were the beginning. So people who were the beginning of a music are still around. And when you see such an evolution, so the parents and grandparents who were part of rock, when they look at rock today, rock's pretty similar. It's not, it hadn't, as much as young people like to say, well, hip hop has to evolve. Does it? I don't know if it really does, because I know that, a lot of the old rock artists can make new music and still sell. So we're very excited this year. Like I said, LL's got his project coming out. MC Light has confirmed that she has her project coming out. Busta dropped his project. So let's just keep hoping that we can get good music as we move forward in the rest of the year. And I'll let Kev jump back in here because, again, I know I've just went on my tangent, and Kev knew that too. So, Kev, any last words?
Oh no, just like you said, man. Some of our early heroes, some of our veterans, OGs, founding mothers and fathers of the game deserve to get the love, the recognition, the attention because um, it's elements and roots that they laid 40 years ago that people don't even realize, and they think that what's going on a lot of times is new stuff, but it's actually 40 years old. You know what I mean? Like, you got so many people that tell you Kanye invented auto tune and not even realize that, you know, Kanye took it from T-Pain, and T-Pain took it from,
Roger
Roger Troutman
Troutman.
in the early 80s. You know what I mean? And no, T-Pain took it from Teddy Riley and Guy. Because remember, Teddy
That's
Riley
right.
brought it
That's
back.
right. That's right.
So, it's auto-tune came through these transitions, and if you don't know the history, it hurts the legacy of this thing that kind of sits out there now in the atmosphere. You know, the saying goes, history repeats itself. You know what I mean? And it's hard to create something new because it's probably already been created so long ago. But if you don't know your history, then it's this, you kind of sound foolish. And I hate to say that, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it really is. Like, we're going to, at some point, we're going to touch on, how Mary J. Blige is the queen of hip hop and hip hop soul. We got to touch on the kings of hip hop soul at some point. And we're not talking about the Drakes or Kanye's. We ain't talking about this 2000 stuff. I mean, you can go back to the 80s when there were R&B groups in hip hop, and they don't get no recognition, you know what I'm saying? And it's, you know, I hate to go on this tangent, but yeah, man, like the hip hop 50 disappointed me so much because it didn't give enough of the history. You know what I mean? Like, I think we had 12 months and we could have dedicated each month to so many important moments or trends or just like I said, the roots. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many things and so many foundations and so many marks that were already created and left, and that's why we're bringing up the Funky 4+1. I mean, it's worth, they're worth a listen to. They're worth a listen to. You might not like the majority of this stuff, but you're gonna like a good chunk of that stuff. And I think that even some of their hit, at least three of their big hits, I think you can play right now and it'll still draw excitement. And for something that's 40 plus years old to still get people excited or pull you in, it's a testament to what they were able to do. And without knowing the history, you won't know this. So thank you all for listening, and we really appreciate us kind of just going off on this old stuff. But I mean, it's needed. Just like the younger people, you could teach us some stuff, but at the same time, allow us to do the same. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at some of the things that happened in the past that it's kind of resurfacing today, even though those artists from the past don't get enough credit.
Yeah, you definitely right there, my man. I appreciate you. We appreciate you guys. Definitely don't forget to check us out on social media. And also you can leave us comments on social media as well as like and subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. We just, this was our spotlight on Funky 4+1. All these things are important, and again, we on the next episode that we give you, we're going to shout out several of the people who have commented on our on the through social media as well as through our post. And let's give love where it's supposed to, because a lot of the comments have been helpful as well as encouraging. So we're going to accumulate those things, and we'll come and we'll probably do a live show with that one, and just do a live show of giving love to those people who have shown love to us. And with that, we really appreciate y'all. Don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. We out of here. Peace.